That was the scenery from who they thought the cabinetry. Extraordinary majesty, that's why we call him Christ the King. The enemy coming like a flood. Faith is a lifestyle. It is the mountain on which you stand that makes you believe that a dream is actually attainable. It is the concrete evidence that makes the logically impossible seem completely tangible. It seemed hopeless, but faith. I can't prove it, but faith. I can't explain it, but my faith has given me peace. I'm a Christian with $100 million vision. Can nobody box me and say that's a contradiction? Goal driven, God just blessed me with the ambition. Look up when there is the definition. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Elevation Podcast. My name is Shawn Riff-Raff, and we are definitely here. Happy to be here today. Everybody has pretty much been stuck in the house, so we are just being stuck in the house a little more. We're going to talk about some things that have absolutely nothing to do with the fact, well, actually, you know what? We probably are going to end up talking about the coronavirus and things happening just in the culture and in the world. I am definitely happy to have again here my guest, who is the second time here on the Elevation Podcast, but you know she is no stranger to my life. So so this is gonna be a really good talk, a really good conversation. Before I get into the conversation with her, I just want to say one thing. There are some things I think that a lot of us would sit around the house all day during this time of being quarantined. We sit around the house all day and just do absolutely nothing. And I think me and my special guest I have on today are going to give you a bunch of ideas about what you could possibly do while you are in the house quarantined. Not able to, do all of the things that you would normally do. But there are some things that you should probably be doing instead of just watching TV all day or eating and getting fat. And there is a website that I want you all to go to. Okay, I'm going to put it on the screen right now. Okay, it's called FAFSA.com. Go to school. Go to find a school. They all take the FAFSA. Go to school. You could do that from the computer, and they ain't cutting you off. Even if you ain't paid a bill, they're not cutting you off. They didn't say that you can't, so you go on to school, do something with your life. Okay, that's all. This is the Elevation Podcast. My name is Shawn Riff-Raff. Let's go. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Elevation Podcast. My name is Shawn Riff-Raff, and we are here with co-pastor, entrepreneur, Rachel Anna Gilmer, and I said it right this time because I practiced.
You did. Thank you so much. I don't know where that F initial was coming from.
I don't know. Oh, God, the last time she was here, I got her, and actually she was doing the Love Month with Pastor Kimani Gilmer and you. And I just kept saying wrong letters.
It's okay. It's all right.
How you doing?
I am wonderful. How are you?
I am quarantined.
Yeah, that too.
It's funny. Some people are all in the stores, all in the Walmart, buying last-minute toilet paper, last-minute hand sanitizer, last-minute wipes.
Yes.
I was not one of those people because I always have too much of all of these.
That's a very good thing.
Too much toilet paper. If I got a pack left, I'm like, that ain't enough.
Exactly.
Too much toilet paper, too many wipes, too much hand sanitizer all around in the cars, everywhere. So
That's actually a good thing.
Yeah, so that back order of 4 weeks on the hand sanitizer, that should be about good enough for me.
Yeah, I started looking on Amazon just out of curiosity, and they were like, it was $40 for this 3-pack. And I'm like, oh, everybody wanted hand sanitizer.
Yeah, but there are some people on Amazon. I think Amazon is starting to like charge people, find companies that are doing stuff like gouging prices on hand sanitizer. Yeah,
I thought I read something about that today. That makes
Amazon's
sense.
been cracking down, which is
I think that's good.
Yeah.
Because that's not fair. $40 for a bottle of hand sanitizer. When this is all over, you'll be like, we're overstocked in hand sanitizer. Now buy 2 and get 2 free or something. No.
Man, I actually think the world is going to be a little bit different.
It probably will.
I think people are actually going to actually use hand sanitizer.
I sure hope that they do that and also wash their hands.
Yeah, and shower for that matter.
Yeah,
Maybe.
that too.
How
we
about
might
that?
as well go ahead and take care of the whole body while you're doing it.
How about that?
Don't
Just
wash
shower
your
too.
hands and don't shower. Oh,
Man.
That's bad. That's really bad. But
it is bad. But,
it's a reality, though.
But
shower.
All right, let's talk about you, man. Listen, we can have this conversation about how dirty people are for the whole hour.
Yeah, we could, but we're not, so it's okay.
Because that would probably not be interesting.
No, not at all. Accurate, but not interesting.
I want to start. So we started here before the last time you was here, so I got a portion of who you are, where you're from. This is Women's Empowerment Month.
Yes.
And that a lot of people get the idea that having Women's Empowerment Month means everything I'm doing is for women, and it's not. It's the things that I'm doing are by women.
Got it. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I think the things that we say go both ways. Can go anybody who takes grabs hold of it, of good advice, good ideas, good counsel will be able to. We'll be able to grab something out of it, get some value out of it, and that's the point here. But I want to go back. I want to start from your beginning.
Okay.
For people who didn't see the last one that you were on.
Sure.
Tell me about where you're from, what drives you, all of that cool stuff.
So, as stated last time, I'm from D.C., Southeast. I'm going to say it properly.
South.
Even though it's Southeast, as if there's an F there. I grew up with both of my parents in the home, and I have one older sister, Faith. Hey, girl. And my father has been a pastor as long as I can remember. He was a pastor. As long as he was alive, he was a pastor, and pastored my home church up until his death. And I was in church most of my life. A lot of people, as I got older, I kind of got exposed to, of course, a lot of things. I think I knew maybe like the shell of life, but got more of the experience of life the older I got. And I found out there was a lot of things I did not know, and it was like shock therapy. I was about a lot of stuff.
We're just count the ways.
Yeah, we're just gonna say that little plug there. Just know that there's a whole lot of colors that went into making that picture. And so I was homeschooled growing up. 90% of my belief came from the reason that I thought that I was homeschooled because I kept getting sick at school. I'm not sure how accurate that is, but I do remember being sick a lot in school. And but nevertheless, my mother did an amazing job raising, dealing with, teaching, and training both my sister and I. And I remember doing a lot of work on the go. So my dad was preaching a lot. And so whenever he preached out, or went out of town or whatever, or even for these wonderful vacations that I missed that you can't do when you're actually adult on your own. So I don't know what kind of money my dad was on, but he would take like vacations for 2 weeks.
Listen, my parents used to do the same thing.
Thank you. So
my parents used to take us on vacations all the time, Disney and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. And they made it look easy.
Man, I took my kids to Disney one time. And it was thousands of dollars.
Listen,
And I was like, what is
what is
happening?
happening? Because the truth of the matter is they made it look easy because there isn't just getting there. There is hotels. There are if you are driving, there's gas, there is maintenance to the vehicle that you're taking. If you have to rent a vehicle because of the amount of people that are coming with you, there is the rental fee. There is food, there is admission to all of the things that you want to go and do.
And admission be like $180.
Yeah, we're
You be
talking
what?
debating your whole life just because of these things, but they made it look so easy, And because we did faithfully go on vacations all the time, I kind of felt like, I didn't realize we were rich. I just thought that was normal. I think my dad just worked himself to the point where he could have it so he could do that. My dad started from being a crack addict, a drunk, and, he said God delivered him from drugs and alcohol, and started with not even having a GED and applied for the USDA in pencil. He would tell the story. All he had was a pencil, and he said the guy that hired him, he was looking over hundreds of applications, saw his and was like, I don't know what it is about this one, but this is the guy. And when he ended up passing away, he was the deputy director over the mail operations of the USDA. And I don't know how much he made, but he made enough. He made enough. We never went without, and nothing like that. But, I had a lot of, although some of my friends will tell you that I lived a sheltered life or, that I gave my childhood to God, which I kind of did. I honestly appreciate my upbringing because I have a lot of values that I realize is, and this is not saying this in a braggadocious manner, but just an observation, like at the base rate, just an observation. I realize that there are a lot of people that don't have some of the foundational principles that I was taught. And so, if I would take shock therapy or foundational principles, I'll take the shock therapy and keep my foundational principles instead of being exposed to too much too early. And so that's how I was brought up. I always, because my dad took care of me so well, I always had, I didn't really have a need for money. And so my drive to start working actually did not come from my desire for money. It came from my desire for my own money. And so,
which is completely
different.
It's just completely different.
It really is. Having access to money and then having your own money are two different things.
Yeah, I used to love the limit. Like when I don't know how I did this, but I don't know how my parents did this. We grew up on this block, in townhouses, kind of, in the middle of the hood. But where we lived at wasn't the hood.
Right.
I don't know how they did this.
Nope,
it was like this townhouse community.
Yes.
And so we used to, it used to be one of those neighborhoods where everybody know each other. We used to set a lemonade stand. One of the things I used to love, we about to get this money. We about to make this lemonade stand. I don't know if my mother even remember that, but we used
love that. I love that. It's an entrepreneurial setup,
like the spirit.
Yeah, and so when I think the biggest thing was, I remember I broke my glasses. So I think around the age of 13 or 14, I realized I was blind and that there was a whole world that I could see that I couldn't see. And so I think it was one of those days, my sister was in the back of the church and she was mouthing something to me, and I can read lips very well, but for whatever reason, I could not see what she was saying. And so they ended up taking me to get my eyes examined. And of course, I needed glasses. Well, long story short, I ended up breaking a pair of my glasses and I was distraught. And my dad was like, why are you so distraught? We got insurance. I could do the copay. I'm going to pay for it. I'm going to take care of it. I said, but Dad, that's not your responsibility. And I said, and I don't like that something I caused makes you have to pay a price. And he's like, he's too deep for words. He's like, but he said, that's a good thing. That means you have responsibility. And, and so he hyped me up. And I felt like that was a good thing to want to be responsible for your actions, for your expenses, And so that kind of, I went to my first job as an administrative assistant. That was my first job. And I can't remember how old I was. I want to say I was like 16 or 17, maybe 18.
Okay.
And I started the job with the credentials of working for my church as the admin of the church. Now, this is really interesting. One of our beloved saints was the admin at the church. She got sick and she ended up passing away. And the whole church was in like this uproar because they were in shock, didn't think she was going to pass. She was the admin of the church. And my dad's like trying to be the bishop, the comforter, trying to grieve and trying to do admin. And I said, well, hey, I have a professional voice. I'm like 12. I can I can pick up the phone and I can talk for to get messages. Shawn, I kid you not. The only obligation that I had committed to was answering phones, checking emails.
Right.
That was it.
Right.
That is not what it ended up being, because I started managing his calendar. Then I started doing honorariums talk. And then I started doing, then I started saying, oh, churches need websites now. We don't have one. Let's get us one. Got us a website. Then I got us a social media page. Then next thing I know, I am the admin of the church.
Yes.
And so that's where my experience is. So I built a resume around 8 years of experience of doing that. At the time, I had only 6, and I think I was 18, and I went to my first job, and I remember being complimented by the I think she was like the office manager or something.
Right.
And once she gave me a good compliment, then there were other gentlemen that worked in the offices.
Right.
And they were saying, oh, you're great. You're great at what you do. You're great at what you do. And then they noticed that I was very professional when I answered the phone.
Okay.
And very professional with my interaction with the clients. So they praised me all the more. It was just compliments. Well, she didn't like that. And so she changed my hours to the point where I could not afford to pay for public transportation to get to work and still actually make money. And I knew she did that because she didn't like me, and I didn't rightly care because I didn't come for money. I came for my own money. And so I resigned. But it was in that I realized this might not be as easy as I thought it was going to be.
It's always like that, right?
Yeah, it is.
That's funny because me and you have a very similar story. Like my well, not that similar, but my parents were not pastors, but my mother did.
Oh my God.
My mother
So
did
sorry.
own daycare centers, and very much like you, I was always telling, oh, we should do it like this, we should do it like that. I remember like they used to write their timesheets down, and you know, and I used to be like, well, you know what you need? We need to get this time card system that go collect, you know. And she got it, and it worked, and, you know, and I was always the one, like, you know,
Giving those ideas.
always the one trying to help my parents' business in that way. That's funny.
That is hilarious.
That's funny.
I understand.
This is Women's Empowerment Month, and we are at sort of a point, I think, I want to talk a little bit about the business that you are in.
Okay.
Anyone who knows her knows she's co-pastor. Anyone who knows her, but you know, you may not know her for the business that she's in, aside from the business of the church and the business of. And I want to talk a little bit about what it is that you do. You know, because I'm going to talk a little about ministry in a little bit, but I want to talk a little bit about what you do, because I think that, like I said in the intro, there are some, you know, probably some ideas or some value you can bring to people who are sitting at home for the next at least 2 weeks.
God help us all.
At least 2 weeks.
Jesus.
If the government doesn't continue to lie to us. At least 2 weeks.
Oh, God. Oh, Jesus.
But, you know, like, there's a lot of things that, you know, it's like, you know, take the time and build something. But I want to talk a little about your business and what it is that you do, and, you know, just start from there.
Sure. So I own the RAG Admin Agency, previously known as Excellence Defined, RAG for Rachel Anna Gilmer. It is, so initially I, after my saga on 9 to 5 jobs. Um, I quickly realized this is not for me. And I said, okay, it's time to go. It's time to go.
That's funny.
Yeah. But, you can't just jump off of a job. That's not practical unless the Lord tells you to do that. And I just want to be very clear that the Lord doesn't tell everybody to do that.
Right.
You can't do that. So you have to have a plan.
Right.
And so I started to venture into or try to map out ideas that fit what I do because I do feel comfortable with administration. I know that's my skill set. I also know that even though I was thrown into administration, it identified within me things that I like to do.
Okay.
And I quickly stumbled upon something called virtual assistants.
Okay.
And so
I know them well.
Yes, everybody has a virtual assistant nowadays.
I stumbled across virtual assistants because I suck at administration.
That's usually the segue to get to that. Yes, that's absolutely correct.
I mean, never mind. Go ahead.
It's okay. It's people like us
so
for you.
bad.
It's all right. It's okay.
Details and all of that.
There is a place for you.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
There is a place in the people. And so, I looked it up and it was a thing. And so I started by just being in my mind, I'm just like, I'm going to just get me, maybe a couple of clients. And I remember when I first started, my very first client or potential client, I was still at my 9 to 5 because my goal was to work at my job as much as I could, to be respectful of my current employer, after work, before work, weekends, and just push it until I could come off my job. That was the goal.
Okay.
And so my first potential client actually came from someone that I knew that we don't really talk, but we, we're cordial when we see each other. And I was really surprised. I was grateful for the referral, and I thought that was really cool because they had never dealt with me with any type of administrative dealing.
Right.
And so this young lady, listen, okay, I took my lunch break to talk to this lady. That meant something for me because my lunch break was my me time with my job because I hated my job.
Right.
And so if I'm not eating, which is a big deal to me, I'm going to be in my car having my me time. And I gave you my lunch break. I was very, 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 very passionate about it, And so I said, I'm going to take my time. I'm going to go to my car. I'm going to crack my windows because it was a little warm outside. But I don't want the air blowing in the sound of the phone and all. I'm trying to be extremely professional.
Right.
I call the young lady. We have a conversation. She sells me on. She has a show on the Word Network. She has a business in another state, which is about 2.5 hours away. Not to give too much information, just in case somebody listening knows who this person is. She just ran down a list of this ministry she had. She wanted me to manage all this stuff. I'm like, wow, this is my big ticket. This is my first big client. And so I always ask, what is your monthly budget? Because I need to know where your head is as far as how much you see yourself paying someone to do administration for your company. She said, well, I had never given a thought to it. I said, well, would you like some more time? I can send you a proposal. You can tell me what works for you. We can adjust it accordingly. She says, well, I can give you a number. I was thinking more like 100. And so I said, can you hold on for me 1 second? So I muted the phone and I said, Rachel, you have to go through your head of all of the things that you can say that are appropriate in this moment. Because nothing that came to my mind was appropriate. You want me to run your whole business. You want me to run your ministry. You want me to run your prayer line and the prayer requests that come to the prayer line. You want me to handle your booking engagements, come to every speaking engagement and sell CDs after you finish. Halfway armor bearer, go to your store that's in another state that's like 2.5 hours away every week to check on the managers that are there and manage the administrative backing for your TV show. But you want to pay me $100 a month. A month.
She need an intern.
She needs prayer.
Oh, Lord.
And I was very taken aback. Because I was so excited. And I think we talked about this offline, but I feel like people don't warn you about the real sacrifices or walls that you hit when it
Right.
comes to being an entrepreneur.
Absolutely not.
It's not, no one really, up until that point, I'll say it like that, because I don't want to say that nobody's doing it, but the majority of the people that brought an uplifting message to me never educated me about how resilient you have to be,
Absolutely.
you know, or how much you're going to hear a no before you hear a yes.
Absolutely. Like, people don't, like, you can watch those commercials that come on TV in the middle of the night and talk about business and how and all of that stuff, or listen to those TV pastors that come on and tell you how
Yes.
you're gonna get your own business, and
It's so funny.
not realizing that this is not sweet and sexy like they make it seem.
No, it's not.
No, you don't get to sit on a beach and and the money roll in.
It's not
I
how
don't
this
think that way.
works.
I don't think that works that way for anyone.
It doesn't.
And so, and so having to deal with people.
Mm-hmm.
And it's any business. It's any business from it's always somebody that wants the world
Yes.
but can afford nothing.
And you know what?
Or
And you know
intern.
what's
Get an
funny?
intern.
It's funny that you say that statement, because that's actually applicable in more ways than one. It's people who, even on my side of the bargain, that administratively may be gifted, but you want everything, but you're not willing to sacrifice the hard work that it takes to get the outcome that you're looking for.
Right.
And it's going to cost you something, even if it doesn't cost you money. It's going to cost you time. It's going to cost you sleep. It's going to cost you your ability to talk back. Sometimes you have to hold your peace. Sometimes you have to, you got to be okay with being quiet sometimes.
If it would just cost money, it'd be easy.
It would.
Because money has actually no intrinsic value. It's
Right.
It's what you can buy with the money that actually makes a difference.
That's so true. That is so true.
So everything else is what costs you. When it costs you your time,
Yes.
your time is ultimately, determined by the market. But when you're
Yes.
spending your time, in something, it's like when something costs you time.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the most.
It's everything.
It's everything.
It's life. And I think that was the reason that I found that first encounter so insulting, was because it is my time. And my time is my money. It's my life.
Right.
And of course, I respectfully said I will take into consideration what you said to me. I said, but I will be submitting a proposal. And of course, I did not hear back from her, which was perfectly fine. But I stood by what I intended to charge. And so I've been through that.
I've come up with good, better, best. So I come up with good, better, best when I ask people about their. So I've learned how to set expectations,
Right.
And then don't come close to them. So I've learned how to knowing some where my price starts at here and it can go all the way up to here, just depending on. I think you need this one all the way up here, and and then you send them a proposal that's regular,
Right.
and they're good to go.
Absolutely.
But
Absolutely.
like sometimes people just I don't know what they think in their head, like could you pay you that?
And that's another thing, because I'm taking into consider, which is kind of tying into where we are now. Because at first I was thinking I'm going to be solo. I'm just going to get like 3 or 4 clients. But as time went on, I realized there are a few things that you have to learn. You have to learn that it's okay to say no to a client. I took on a client and I told him I think we should go our separate ways. This particular client, he was very disrespectful. And I don't, there's no amount of money you can pay me to disrespect me.
Absolutely.
And that is a foundational principle for me in my business.
Absolutely.
There is no amount of money, nothing you can do for me, nothing you can provide for me. If Jesus doesn't disrespect me and he paid the ultimate price,
Right.
then there is nothing that you can give me or provide for me that will entitle you to disrespect me. And so I struggled with it for a while, because it was income,
Absolutely.
but I had to wash my hands of it. It just wasn't worth it, and so I learned it's okay to say no to clients. It's okay to stand by your standards. And then eventually I got that one client that I made an offer. They accepted it, and I quit my job. And it was so funny because I happened to have bought a truck after I put in my resignation. And my employers were like,
Lord.
"You got a new truck?" I was like, "Yeah." And they thought I was really doing good, but I just didn't feel like proving my income from being self-employed. So I went ahead and got my truck. I'm telling you, I'm going to pay on time, but I need to get this truck now while I'm still here.
Right.
So, but I've realized that I didn't want to be by myself. I wanted to build a brand. And so the RAG Admin Agency is my projected goal is to have an entire agency of virtual assistants who provide administration for people. And of course, there is a percentage split for each client that you serve under with the RAG Admin Agency. And so it's not a lot, but I want to make sure that people feel like they have control over their business. And so if we are contracting you as Sally Sue or Sally Sue's virtual assistant business, it's up to you. I want you to feel like that client is your client.
Thanks.
And so that's the goal. That's where I'm going. But it has taken, I think if there was one thing that I wish that I had before was it's two things. One, I wish that my dad was still living. So that there could have been a little bit more conversation. I don't think I knew what to ask at a younger age.
Yeah, I feel you.
Now, he offered a lot of conversations that you didn't ask for. That was my dad. He gave you a lot of information you didn't ask for. But, if I could do it over and there was more questions that I could have asked, if I knew that this was the path I was going to take, I probably would have picked his brain a little bit more. And then I also wish that other entrepreneurs that have a certain level of success could talk about the gut-wrenching truth about how to snatch yourself out of maybe even emotional depression when you are getting those. Because some people just keep going. How?
Yeah.
How do you keep going?
Yeah, that's crazy. I think it's hard to be up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down.
Absolutely, it is.
And then there are certain things that are like crucifixion,
Yes.
like right now, like you know what I'm saying, like there are so many people, entrepreneurs right now that can't work.
Yes.
And in a world built for people who have a job.
That's so true.
The world is just built for people who have a job.
It is.
And so it is so hard to sort of maintain on this, revolving world.
Yeah.
I learned how to beat revolving when I was younger. Because I used to, get these huge contracts. I used to get these huge contracts for huge amounts of money. And then at first I would just blow it all.
Yeah, I remember those days.
I would just blow it. I don't even want to talk about it.
Well, see, the trick is that the problem is that I don't know if you were like this, but when I first got my first contract, said to myself, I told my mom, like I probably told everybody, the first check I get, I'm blowing on myself. The first check, it was not the first check. It was the second check and the third check.
The first check I was scared of.
I think
the first time I got a check over 5 figures, I was scared of it, right? And so that was the perfect check. That was I was scared. You scared to lose.
Yeah, that's
true. It was the second check that.
I don't think. See, I didn't have a problem with the first.
Yeah, it was the
I
second.
had a problem with the first 5.
No, it was the second.
That was the problem.
For me, it was the second. It was the same client too.
Oh, that's bad.
They came back. They was like, "You did such a great job.
Oh my god.
We're gonna do it again."
That's bad. It's bad. In my head, I couldn't stop. I was just like, "You're not making a profit. But at the time, admittedly, I could kind of afford to do it because I was still on my job, and I had not yet just placed that income as dependable income yet.
Right.
It was just like, we're just trying this out to see if this works.
Right.
And it worked for my makeup habit, for my hair habit, for my nail habit. And then I'm like, if I really want this to turn into substantial income, I can't spend every bit of it.
Yeah, that's I'm not gonna lie, I still struggle with spending too
Oh, it's
much.
difficult. It's difficult. When I see those numbers coming
I
in,
still struggle with spending too much.
but you know what helps if you look at your profit and loss sheets. Look at them often. And sometimes when I look at how much is going out and how much is coming in, it'll cause me to calm down just a little bit.
Tell me how do you balance because so a couple of weeks ago you had a conference, Women of the Travail.
I did.
First of all, how did that go?
Oh my gosh, it was amazing. I really, and I don't say that braggadociously, I just feel that when you do an event, especially when you are called of God, you should only do them when he calls you to do them.
Right.
And so that is something I live by. And he did give me this a while ago, and I finally did it. I finally was obedient, and I feel that God drew people I didn't know. He drew people that were hungry. They didn't come as spectators. They really came hungry with an appetite. And one of the exhortations of the whole conference was those that hunger and thirst after righteousness will be filled. And that's what happened. They came hungry, and God said, here's the table. And so that is the epitome of everything I could have ever dreamed of. I can't wait till the next one.
How do you balance? I think sometimes in my life, so I'm going to ask you how you do it.
Okay.
So I think sometimes in my life, I have a rough time balancing the entrepreneur side of me from the ministry side of me.
Absolutely.
Because there are literally the same brain.
Yes.
And because they are the same brain, there are certain times I get into a ministry moment, but the entrepreneur is ticking.
Yes.
Yes. So you start thinking about all the things that you could sell.
Yes. That's hilarious. That is funny.
And you think, you're like, no, wait, turn this part off.
Right.
Like how do you balance the entrepreneur side and the ministry side? Because you're strong on both of them.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Well, we're working on that. The co-pastor in me is working on that. Thank you. That's very good to hear. But it is like you said, it's a very difficult thing to balance. Because like you said, it is the same brain. You are one person. We are all multifaceted. I think that number one, you have to become aware of the fact that you are multifaceted, and also become aware of all of those roles that you possess.
Right.
If you're not aware of all of them, one of them is going to die.
Right.
I say that because my consciousness to feed both aspects of my ministry and my business came from my ability to be aware that both of them were in need of feeding, number one. And number two, that both of them were just as important to God as their life. So if although prophesying and laying on of hands, preaching and singing and supporting the ministry, supporting my husband, all of those things are primary and really, really important. God began to kind of help me balance, because I had to come to a realization that although ministry is a need-based thing.
Right.
And of course, so is entrepreneurship. However, when it comes to ministry, it is one of the most sacrificing demands, because you are required to do what you do, whether people appreciate it or not. The dichotomy, I guess, with ministry and business is that I don't care if you think I should do this or not in business. You need to pay me.
Right.
And with ministry, if you are called to do it, whether they like you, pay you, support you, appreciate you or not, you're still called to do it. There has to be a clear distinction between the nature that is provided for both sides. And I will say it is very difficult. You can't do it. You can't do it unless you're intentional about it.
Right.
Because what you'll start to do is be ministry minded about your business, which is okay. Let me get that straight. It's possible.
It's okay.
If you marry it in there, God might require that. That's what we call marketplace ministry. That
Right.
you are able to be kingdom minded in a secular atmosphere, and
Okay.
then dominate that atmosphere with kingdom principles.
Right.
That is wow. That's amazing. If you can do that, then kudos to you. That is what you should do.
That's more of a life thing, though, right?
It is a life thing.
Because
So that's why we get them mixed up.
I mean, like, kingdom minded. You should be kingdom minded, whether on
In
your
general,
job,
yeah.
or
Yes.
at home, or
Yes.
while you're at the mall.
Absolutely.
So
Your interactions with people.
right.
Yes.
So I mean, there are some people who attempt, and I say attempt because I've rarely seen it work.
Mm-hmm.
um, who attempt to run Jesus businesses,
Yes.
and I say attempt because now I've seen people run successful ministry businesses,
Mm-hmm.
but on the flip side of that, I don't see very many people run.
Yes.
I mean, Christian bookstores I used to see. I don't really
You
see
don't see them as much.
anymore.
You don't.
But then again, you don't really see bookstores anymore.
This is true.
But I've anyway. I'm sorry, I cut you off.
No, it's okay. It's a lifestyle. It's you implementing Christ's character
Right.
in your life. It should come out in your business, your ministry, your job, your friends, how you treat the waiters and waitresses when these restaurants open back up. Because that gets on my nerves too.
You're gonna appreciate a restaurant after this.
Listen, I want you to tip well, okay?
I think sometimes you take it for granted some of the things that you get to do in life until a pandemic comes.
Something like
then
this.
all of a sudden,
We just gonna appreciate breathing the air.
we stuck in the house. All of us got
Absolutely.
all of us not feeling this house thing. And
No.
so I think waiters would get appreciated a little bit more.
I think so, and I'm praying for that.
I mean, and they're gonna be a little nicer too.
Yes.
Because they're not working.
Indeed. Then listen, it is
So
your
it's gonna be
attitude that
both
brings
ways.
that tips. That's right.
It's gonna be both ways.
Absolutely. Everybody should get a wake up call from all of this house stuff. Then take this time and pray about yourself, and then when we all come out, we'll be better. So you really have to. You have to know all of your roles.
Mm-hmm.
You have to know the aggression of all of those roles. That some may require you to be more passive.
Mm-hmm.
Ministry requires me to be more passive.
Mm-hmm.
I found out in my own, because I do a lot of self introspection. Like I'm looking at myself all the time. And this week I was thinking about how as a child, I used to be I was never rude, but I was very straightforward. And I said what I thought. I was not afraid of people or confrontation. Somewhere in my early 20s, it changed. And then I became this scared, passive person. And, I just asked the Holy Spirit to help me identify what is it in me that makes me trepidatious when it comes to confrontation. And honestly, I feel that my business has caused me to be more confrontational in ways that ministry wouldn't encourage. I'll say it like that.
Okay.
It wouldn't encourage.
Okay.
And you have to know that there are certain aspects of ministry that may cause you to be passive or more passive, for lack of a better term. And then there are parts of ministry that you need to be more aggressive, that you may not learn how to be more aggressive until God perfects it in another area.
Right.
And then you learn how to do it. So I learned how to tell you, oh, you late on your payment, so I'm going to have to enforce this 17%, late fee because you haven't sent your payment in. And then the same thing when it comes to the people that you pastor, not about money, but maybe about holding them accountable for their character or holding them accountable for their growth. Whatever the intensity needs to be applied, sometimes they have to marry in order for them to separate. And that's what ended up happening for me because I was very passive when I first started my business. I was very afraid. And then I realized I'm the only voice for my business.
Right.
And if I don't talk, no one's going to talk.
Right. You know, when you first start out, you're scared to charge people.
Oh, yeah.
And
I got over that.
Yeah, it's like you kind of get scared a little bit just to say what your price is.
Absolutely. Which is why I think you said this at one of my seminars that you tried to take over.
Did I? Dang, my bad.
I remember this specifically because I was like, okay, you going ahead of me. You going ahead. Come back, man. I got you. You going ahead of me.
My bad.
But it was very good. And what you said was, sometimes you have to have a system and honor your system in order to get the outcome that you want.
Absolutely.
I say that to say my system that works for me is I don't say numbers on the phone because I'm going to be afraid to say it. I still have issues with it. I don't have issues writing though.
Right.
I've never had issues writing.
I'll send you the proposal.
I will send you the proposal. And when they're trying to bait for that number, they're trying to bait for it on the phone, I will take into consideration the things that we've spoken. I don't do numbers over the phone, but I will send you a proposal. That's my process. I honor my process because if I go outside of my process, I'm going to go outside of my worth. And anytime you go outside of your process, you go outside of your worth, and then you end up doing something that you really don't feel that you are paid to do. Like you don't feel paid for what you deserve. You don't feel that. And if it's your business, you deserve to feel fulfilled in it.
Right.
So you made a very, very, very good statement in saying that you make a system. I don't have friends don't contact me directly unless you like it ain't but like 4 people that can do that. It ain't but 4 people. Otherwise, you're going to the website. We're going to do a consultation. We're going to do a discovery call. Yeah. Then I'm going to ascertain your needs.
You got your process.
I got my process.
That process. And when you follow that process every single time, it's funny because when you respect your process, your customer respects your process.
And that's what you said in my conference that you tried to take over.
I tried to take over?
You did.
I didn't take over enough.
You did, but it's okay. I almost had to send you a cash app there for a second. That's why I was like, hey, I'm not sharing this coin.
I almost had to send you a cash app.
But it's all right. All is well.
You know, what is it that if we were giving advice to somebody trying to figure something out real quick, like I'm sitting in my house, I got 2 weeks at least in the house. Some of us got 3. You know, what is it that you would advise someone to like who has absolutely no idea where to start? What they should do. I mean, we quarantined.
Yeah, pretty much.
Therefore, we got nothing but time and opportunity. So we either gonna sit here and eat ho-hos and watch reruns of the Cosby Show.
It's not gonna work.
Or
do something productive.
Or we're gonna be productive.
Yeah. So first, you need to envision your outcome. Get in your mind a picture of what you want your finished product to look like.
Okay.
Write it down. Write it down. Don't write it down on a loose sheet of paper unless that's what you like to do. Find a book and let that be a book that is for your vision building. If you're like me, you love notebooks and like have more notebooks than you have hairs on your head, including the wigs that I'm wearing. But like I have a lot of notebooks. But find one that you can write your vision in. Whatever it is, even if you don't really have it completely thought out, write whatever the skeleton of it is.
Right.
You don't have to have a name. All of that kind of stuff is relative. Make sure that you have the vision, what you want it to accomplish. In doing that, be it a business, a book, a ministry, a goal, whatever it is, you want to write the outline. And then when you do the outline, you want to fill in the outline. Have you a mission statement. Set your short-term goals. Do not set long-term goals only. That is my hiccup. I do not like short-term goals. I hate them, actually. If I could hate something, it would be that. Because sometimes I'm thinking so much about the long-term goal that I forget that short-term goals matter. Celebrate each short-term goal on your way to each milestone. Write that out. It really doesn't take long. it takes concentration. Silence your distractions and focus in on it. Um, After you set your short term and your long term goals, realistically take a look at your life, even within this quarantine and outside of the quarantine.
Okay.
And when you start getting excited about the fact that you can go back to work or do whatever it is that you want to do that you are prohibited from doing right now, what about your life can you fit these short-term goals? Where can you fit these short-term goals in your everyday life? And do as much as you can now to prepare. Administration never stops. The biggest part of your business is going to be administration. You can get a check, you can get the product, you can get the service, but the administration is going to be the biggest part of your business. And in quiet times like these, administration can be working. You know, if you need a budget, there are Excel spreadsheets that have a budget template. Google is your best friend. You can find free spreadsheets on Google to outline a budget. If you feel like you cannot afford to take on financially another goal, another whatever, Indeed will take a part-time application while you're in quarantine. Work on your resume. Contact somebody that can. Work on your resume. Offer them some money to work on your resume. Don't just ask for it. Offer something so that or if you have to. I have a client who sometimes provides a service for service. If his business can't take the overhead, he'll provide a service for service. I support that. I am okay with that. Barter
all day.
Period. It works. And so those are some things that you need to do. You need to be mindful that the administrative side of whatever your goals are not going to stop. And until you designate someone like the RAG admin agency to do those administrative tasks for you, you are responsible for those tasks. And you hold yourself accountable. Set reminders if you think you are forgetful. iPhone has a reminder. You set the day, the time, or if you want it to remind you when your car gets to a certain location, it has that capability as well. And so you can become your own self-made goal setter and goal accomplisher. You can do it, but it is going to require you. I'm gonna say this and then I'll be quiet. It's gonna require you to set the goal, perform the task, and go after the goal far beyond the emotion of when you set the vision. The emotion is going to be far gone. And you need to be just as intentional about doing the goal as when you were excited about the vision. Because your emotions are not going to carry you all of this way.
Right.
I did not get here by emotion. I quit my job, not by emotion. Truly, it was not. It was by numbers. It was by administration. It was by faith. It was about consulting with my husband, having a supportive husband, and being able to plan something that worked for me. So you have to be intentional and make sure that your emotions don't run your decisions.
You say a lot.
I try.
And I'm glad that I'm just saying. I mean, you say a lot, like you don't hold back. And
Thank you.
I think that there are a lot of people that fluff us.
Sure.
That you come on and they say everything pretty, but not anything that allows you to take something from it and be like, all right, I can go.
Yeah.
I think I've always I enjoy having conversations with people that actually bring value to myself or to who's watching. Because that's super, super important.
Definitely.
If you had any, as we wrap up here, if you have any, like, I always ask this. I think I've asked you before, so I don't want to ask the same question. I want to ask it a different way.
Okay.
Well, actually, I'm going to ask the same question because we're in a different mode. If you had one thing that you could change about the world, if you got the grace, if God gave you the grace one day, say, you got a grace to change one thing, what would that one thing be?
I would make all of us more self-aware. I think more self-aware and more intentional about changing the things we know.
Mm.
Because I think that in church and in business is so many people that aren't self-aware. You don't know, like you don't take the time to deal with you, and you end up affecting everybody else, but it's everybody else's fault but yours.
They don't even understand you. You don't understand what you're doing.
Like you are the cause, like, you know, and no one takes the fact that no one really prides themselves anymore in being self-aware is scary to me, because whether it's in business or ministry, you find a lot of people who have a lot of triggers and trigger effects in their local assembly, in their business, with their friends and family, and they never take responsibility for how jacked up they are and how people are affected by how jacked up they are.
You know what's interesting? That's so real, because there's so many people who, you know, one of the things I can say this about myself instead of talking about everybody else, because I don't want nobody to think I'm talking about that.
Sure.
I know I'm bad at details.
Okay.
Right? I will admit to someone in one heartbeat that I am not a detail-oriented person.
Sure.
Right? I am big picture, not minor detail.
Gotcha.
It is
You're a visionary.
Right.
Yes.
And so when it comes to detail, because I understand that I am bad at detail, I always get someone else who is good at detail to do details.
That's right.
I don't ever try to be good at details.
There you go.
Because however good I may think that I am, you know, all I'm doing is taking away from what I do well to try to do something I don't do well. And all I have to do is connect with somebody who does details better than me. And you do what you do good, and I'll do what I do. You know, I'll try to get better at what I do instead of trying to halfway do what you do.
Exactly.
And there's so many people everywhere that try that you're not in you're in that's not your grace.
That's not your grace or your lane. Stay in your lane. And you know what? I think that it would make relationships better. Yeah. I think when I got married, it caused me to learn how to be self-aware. And when I say self-aware, I'm not talking about a humanistic method of making things work. I'm talking about literally making sure that you know your character, knowing your proclivity, knowing your triggers, and then don't just be educated about them, do something about it so that who you are isn't poisoning the people around you.
Absolutely.
Or the systems around you.
Absolutely.
You know, make yourself better so that you can contribute to who you say you're a part of, the church you're a part of, the business that you run, and all the goals that you have.
Right. And that's definitely. Don't praise your weakness.
Thank you. I need a shirt. Don't praise your weakness. It's like not somebody cute.
Be like,
you know, you've heard women say it all the time. I know I do that, and don't do that. You know you're like that. So fix it. Don't keep telling people that. Fix it. It's not cute. Yeah, it's really not.
All right, as usual. Before we leave out of here, before we leave, well, look at the time.
Look at the time.
Before we leave out of here, as usual, on the Elevation Podcast, we give gifts.
Oh, I get a gift too. Oh, snap. And I just got a gift last month.
Okay, so this gift, typically, you know, I'm giving something from, you know, the Reach Clothing brand. Because, you know, that's what I do.
We love it.
Y'all got a lot of it.
Yes.
So it would be, you know, redundant to continue to keep.
It's okay. I wasn't going to say nothing. I was just going to wear it.
This is a little bit different.
Oh, do I get to open it? We got time for me to open it?
Yeah. This is
ooh. Oh, I'm screaming. Look at it. Where's the camera? Oh, I would like to say that I compliment this very well right now. This is absolutely stunning.
Oh, you do a lot of makeup.
I do.
A lot of makeup, and I know you do, you know. Oh, you got to open it.
Oh, it opens.
It opens.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Oh, look at the book. It says planning my empire. That's what I'm doing. Oh, Shawn, you have outdone yourself.
Oh, thank Keisha.
Keisha. Oh, Keisha. I love you so much. Oh, thank you, guys. This is beautiful. It's almost as beautiful as me. Look at it. Oh, I am so pleased. So pleased. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Of course.
For coming here. Thank you for doing this. Thank you for coming, up these 4 flights of steps.
No one will say I didn't get my exercise in for today. That is another thing. Walk up some stairs during this quarantine. Don't just eat and go sit down. Go walk up some stairs.
Man, listen. Well, thank you for coming.
Thank you.
And yeah. And you guys, thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for hanging with me for this hour of Elevation Podcast that happens every Tuesday at 7:30 p.m. Right here on ShawnRiff-Raff.com, or you can check it out on my YouTube page, which is Shawn Riff-Raff YouTube, and then or Facebook or the other Facebook, or now Roku.
Come on, Roku.
Hi, come on, Roku. So look up Shawn Riff-Raff Studios on Roku, and you can see all of the shows that I will have coming. This is the only one on there right now, but all the shows that we will have coming, it's going to be fun. Thank you guys very much. See y'all next time. Thanks. Peace. Faith is a lifestyle. It is the mountain on which you stand that makes you believe that a dream is actually attainable. It is the concrete evidence that makes the logically impossible seem completely tangible. It seemed hopeless, but faith. I can't prove it, but faith. I can't explain it, but my faith has given me peace. I'm a Christian with $100 million vision. Can nobody box me and say that's a contradiction? Goal driven, God just blessed me with the ambition. Look up when the rest, the definition.